title that has started floating around called AI Product Manager, and I don't think anyone understands what it means. World's attention today is towards this generative AI. There are a lot of other forms of AI.
Today I welcome Arun Iyer, who had a long history with product management, who had been part of Microsoft, who had been part of McKinsey. Arun, we had same thing. I was with McKinsey for some time, who was also with UiPath, and in today's environment, Arun is more focused as a visiting professor in leading institutes in India. Arun is also someone who is a product thought leader, and Arun also likes to give a guidance to the young people, actually, right? So, Arun, thank you very much for coming to Metrics and specifically for this particular podcast with respect to AI. Thank you very much. Explain a little bit about you so that people can understand about who Arun is.
Sure. Let's go chronologically rather than reverse chronologically. I started off my career as an engineer, was working with Cisco for a while, went to B school at IIM Calcutta, and post IIM Calcutta is when I started my product management career. I started it off with Microsoft when this was around 2013, at a time when definitely most of the world, and especially true of India, people didn't understand what product management was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Especially in a company like Microsoft, which is one of the old
Yes.
software large companies who used to work on waterfall, who have not seen the app world and things like that, transitioning from a highly engineering-led software delivery model to a more product-led model in the new app world was a huge transition for the leadership team as well. I was the product manager for the Microsoft Excel app on Android, right?
Wow.
And just as an anecdote, this was at a time when there was a transition from the previous CEO, Steve Ballmer, to the current CEO, Satya Nadella. And Satya realized that yes, Microsoft needed to have a presence on the largest computing platform at that time, which was Android, no longer Windows. And so the entire team got together to build Word, Excel, and PowerPoint for apps for the Android ecosystem. I was part of the Excel team at that time. So a huge adrenaline rush at that time, figuring out how to work with a product which is older than the engineers who are working there. Excel is 40 years old, right? And realizing that it doesn't matter whether you know how to code and how to write products, Excel can still be a massive behemoth which you can get.
Copilot is doing amazing thing with that.
Absolutely, right? So started there, moved on to Ola, where
so
it was a transition from more established companies to much more of a startup at that time, also much more B2C, kind of like e-commerce in a more marketplace situation. Did some great things, was able to build some great features. In fact, I talk about a few case studies from there which still resonate among young workers today. Then moved on to McKinsey, where it's been a while so I can speak about it. I was the product manager for one of the largest public sector banks in India for their digital transformation product, which again gave me the experience of working as a consulting employee rather than someone who can more or less dictate terms, right? Product managers often have a little more authority and leeway to be able to guide the engineering team in what they would want to build. But the situation of working as a consultant to another large organization gave me that experience, that how do you convince teams to do what you do rather than kind of just push your way through. So that was another great experience. Then moved on to UiPath, much more tech,
yes,
much more
automation.
backend automation, right? And currently I lead an AI solutions company called Quantrium. I'm also a visiting professor at several leading B schools in India.
Amazing, actually, right? First of all, I really wanted to, say to all the people who are listening, I think it's a very versatile journey what you have. Someone who has worked in a very large organization, someone who has worked in a startup which was built in a very passion mode, like an Ola, right? Someone who has also worked with consulting, right, altogether. So I think, audio, the people who will be listening, they will be definitely get a lot of new things associated with that. So I'll start with probably the product management, actually.
Sure.
How do you see today's product management moving towards the future of product management? What is your thoughts, Arun? I myself is from the product side of it. I have my own, own aspects. But what exactly you feel where product management is moving?
Great question. Thanks, Vikas. Forecasting the future has always been difficult for anyone. Very famously, at some point of time, Bill Gates said 64 KB of RAM should be enough for anyone.
Yes.
And look where we
Yes.
are, right? So it's hard, but let's just take a stab at it. Product management has gone through ups and downs from people understanding what it should be, that is, let's figure out what works in the market, to becoming a buzzword where a lot of young engineers, a lot of young MBAs wanted to become product managers because probably of the title and expectation of higher pay or whatever. So there were these phases. The industry also evolved or devolved or probably both at the same time, to an extent where product managers became a lot of paper pushing. They were glue roles between sales and customer success and engineering and design. And at sometimes they would question themselves, hey, am I really doing anything useful? Why can't other folks do things by themselves without me? But product managers also are intelligent enough to convince themselves and others that they are doing something useful. Now, the question probably is becoming a lot more relevant due to new tooling that is coming in, low code, no code tools, and of course AI, which is the big elephant in the room. So I do have young product managers asking me, hey, if this thing can write my specification documents and things like that, what am I going to do? Exactly. So that will require a rethink of product management's objectives. The objective was not to write paper.
Right.
The objective was to deliver solid outcomes for the company and the customer. Right? Can you do that? It's like accountants maybe 20 years ago saying, hey, I'm the only one who can, or even bankers saying, I'm the only one who knew how to calculate compound interest and calculate your quarterly interest. Now a machine can do that. But bankers are still irrelevant to do financial planning and other wealth management and things like that. So product managers, these artifacts might get outsourced to technology. Their outcomes that they need to deliver will be of a higher nature, and that's what they will need to own. It's probably becoming more difficult and more exciting.
I think amazing, very nice to hear this thing. And for all of you, artifacts may be outsourced, but you as a product manager need to focus towards an outcome, and as much possible towards an outcome actually. Exactly what you just said, because I am also visiting consultant to so many large organizations where I do run multiple product academies. Most of the time, the people who are so-called product managers, and I have to say so-called,
absolutely,
right? They are currently still trying to, understand about their roles and responsibility actually, right? Maybe you have already spoken, but I still would like to ask, what is one phrase you would like to say to them which should be their focus area towards their role and responsibility?
Once you understand the problem very sharply, who is the customer, what is hurting them, the solution kind of emerges. Or there are several ways to make it emerge. You can iterate and do whatnot, right? But far too many organizations, whether they are large, world-class organizations or small startups, work with an attitude of, I have this, whom can I give it to? Rather than, hey, there is this guy, let's figure out what they need and let me build whatever they need. What they need may not be what they say they need. That's an important thing. They might say, hey, it would be so great if I have this, you build it for them, and they never use it. And they say, look, I don't want to pay you for this. Can you figure out from their current workflow, from their current lifestyle, hey, it looks like they are struggling at doing this. If I build such and such a solution, it will fit neatly into that gap and they will use it, it will solve some problem in their life. So understanding the problem very clearly, very sharply is probably the core deliverable of a product.
Now, let's connect the young product managers, right? And Arun, see, honestly, I'm really passionate talking to you now, right? Over a period of time, even I am started seeing product managers, and they are very young product managers actually, and they should be young product managers because they are the customer now, right?
Right.
Yeah. What you want them to say? What exactly you really want to guide them, right? How exactly you want their career they should groom actually, right?
Right.
And think about a 2 years experienced person getting into product management. I am sure they will be very good.
Absolutely. Thanks, Vikas. And I have been through this. So a few years ago in my career, when I started leading a team of product managers, I don't like to use the word "hamare zamane mein" in our generation. Of course, I am growing older as well. But anyway,
I've tried avoiding all those things.
absolutely.
I could have asked a lot of questions.
Right? But coming from the vintage of companies like Microsoft and Ola and so on, there is a certain discipline that had gotten drilled into me about how detailed should specs be, address every last corner case, can you put in as much of the system architecture as possible and so on. And I tried to guide my product managers that way. So they would bring me a draft spec for review and I would say, hey, there are a lot of things missing. Can you add this? At that time, my mentor, my boss at that time came to me and said, hey, Arun, figure out whether the product manager and the engineer are able to work with each other, right? Why do you want to get involved? If they are able to understand and get the job done, don't worry about what is there in the paper. काम चल रहा है ना? These guys are writing something, those guys are understanding what is required and they're building it. So why are you putting in your notions of this used to be the perfect way at Microsoft or this used to be perfect way or something and try to replicate that? So that is something that I would like to leave both recent product leaders with and recent product managers with, which is if you focus on the outcome and iteration, that is, don't sit and bake things for too long. Make a move, experiment, don't blow up the company, and we'll come to that separately. But it's okay to make small failures, learn from that, fix those failures. If you can fix that iteration, you will get the trust of your company and of your leadership, and you'll be able to make progress.
Very nicely said with respect to you are trying to, make sure the future product managers or product leaders are first able to understand their right hand side, which is nothing but the people who deliver, who are executors at this moment, right? And they should have a very nice relationship, right? That's what you want.
Absolutely.
And the second thing, what you said very clearly is they should also make sure about the understanding part of it, right? And outcome. Perfect, fine. Yeah.
One thing I'd like to add is product managers must spend face time with the customers. It could even be the customer service team, that is okay. But as far as possible, don't be an order taker 2 or 3 layers removed from the customer. Talk to the customer, they will yell at you. Don't yell back at them, of course. Right? But really understanding, hey, there is a product, I thought it was perfect, but my customer is not able to use it, not able to figure it out. I'll go back to my leadership and you'll be able to go back with data and say, 10 customers said this is hurting. I don't care about what your strategy and your roadmap is. We need to fix this for the customer. That gives you a lot more credibility in the management room than any amount of research, secondary or tertiary research that you can do.
So I think what you said very clearly, build your empathy to that level that even somebody is yelling on you, right? You definitely think about them, right? Very nice. It's amazing, listening from this. I'm asking some hard questions because you're someone who is sitting and who has definitely worked in a very hard environment. You worked in Ola. I know that how
Absolutely.
Ola works actually, right?
Job title that has started floating around called AI product manager. And I don't think anyone understands what it means. Are you building AI? Are you using AI to do something else? Are you selling AI powered solutions where, it's like a thin layer between what the customer wants and what the AI will deliver and so on. The term AI has come into too much prominence in the last couple of years, started with ChatGPT. AI is 50 years old and there are non-generative, non-LLM AIs which are very good, right? The world's attention today is towards this generative AI. There are a lot of other forms of AI which probably we are not paying enough attention to. Those are very valuable for product managers and for companies to start investing in and actually being able to build good solutions. Now coming to the point of how would you deliver such seminars or such content, I think product managers need to understand this is a tool. It's a powerful tool. Don't misuse it. It's like having a calculator and you don't need to know why it does what it does. Let me take another example. I'm sure you know how to calculate the square root of a number by hand.
Yes.
Right? We've learned it sometime in school.
We learned it definitely.
Take 2 digits at a time and do something. You get an answer. Do you know why it works? I don't. I just know you do these mechanics and you will get the answer. But I don't know why this algorithm works, right? And I don't know how to get the cube root, for example. I've never learned how to do that. I don't know how to use a log table. All I know is in a calculator, you place log, you will get the log of any number.
Right.
Make AI at that place. That is, it will do something. You don't need to know how it got to that answer. But you do need to know how to use log. You do need to know what to do with a square root. What does a square root or a cube root means? You can't just say it is some formula which I don't understand. Similarly, use AI as a tool that will give you an output, but you need to know, do you need that output and what do you do with that output?
Sure.
Right? So coaching this to product managers, saying your job is not take what the customer says, give it to some LLM and take what the LLM says and give it back to the customer. This doesn't make you an AI product manager. Are you able to use a powerful tool which works in ways that you don't need to understand, but you fully understand what is the output that it gives? Will it plug into the problem that you've discovered, and will it become a solution point in there? Is probably what you would.
Arun, I think I'll probably add up. There is something called primary research and there is something called secondary research.
Of course.
So probably we will use these tools for as an assistant to us, as an agent to us.
Right.
With respect to secondary research with the government data, with the data, but at the same time, the primary research focus of a product manager still lies with us, right, altogether.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Perfect. No, Arun, very nice, and thanks for this. I'm even focusing towards that front actually, right? Because it's a new challenge which I got it to a typical product management academy, which I am running since 5 years in a large organization. Arun, it's an amazing discussion as of now. I really want you to speak out to the audience and end it up with what are some of the thoughts which you want to give to young generation, right, which is Gen Z also, right, so that they can move their career in a right path actually, right, because you are also visiting consultant to so many high institutes. So whatever you say there, why don't you please provide that information also?
Absolutely. Even though there are these great B schools and tech schools and whatnot,
I understand.
We don't even teach something as basic as personal finance management. People know how to value an option and do use Black-Scholes equation for some trading, derivatives trading, but they don't know how to manage their salary.
Yes.
They'll just go into an FD or something like that, right? Now, why I bring this up is basically how you manage your finance portfolio. I'd say manage your career also as a portfolio. Look, AI online, if you hear the debates about AI...
Can we do this with this? Because we both are using the same metaphor, how I do talk about that. Yes,
absolutely,
please.
Right?
And see, I have a goosebumps.
Absolutely. AI online debates are rather polarizing. Some of them say, hey, this is faltu, this is not really changing anything, this is just fluff, ignore it, you'll still need to do, nothing is going to change. Humans have been through several kinds of disruptions and we've always had more jobs from prior to the disruption. The other side is doomsday, saying no, AI is going to kill everything and whatnot. The truth is going to be a mix of both. Why I say that is, imagine someone had the skills of, say, riding a horse. Till 100 years ago, that was the only mode of transportation till World War II and so. That skill suddenly died. Or when automobiles came in, you needed to crank the car to be able to get it started. My car doesn't have a crank. At least it has gears. I am very sure that some of our young employees and young people today may not even know what a gear is, because they have automatic cars, you just put it in drive, it moves. Why do I need to know what a gear is, right? So people from 100 years ago might look back and say, hey, you have no idea how the car works. You have lost the skills to understand the engineering that goes behind it. And hence those jobs of horse riders or whatever died, and new skills, new jobs came in place, right? So there will be job dislocation. Jobs that are today will cease to be there. But in that place, there'll be new jobs, which is going to require upskilling. Not everyone is ready for that upskilling, part one. Second is, in the last 10 years, I'd say, the industry is not as benign as it used to be earlier. Right. It's a very harsh reality that people will have ups and downs in their careers. I myself have gone through several ups and downs. We've all gone through ups and downs, right? So, just like you manage your finance portfolio with a little bit of debt, little bit of equity, some mutual fund, some gold, some real estate, diversification, so that at any point of time, something may be doing well, something may not be doing well, but overall you're carrying along okay. Manage your career in the same kind of portfolio approach, where you have a job, you do some consulting, you do some lecturing and speaking, you do some hobby passion projects. Maybe you're a musician, maybe you're a great sportsman, right? Teach some young kids how to play tennis or how to play badminton, whatever, if you like that. You don't need to start monetizing it immediately. For example, I'm a Mahabharat speaker. I've been studying the Mahabharat for the last 10 years. I deliver lectures for the last 3-4 years. I've been delivering lectures on the Mahabharat.
I'll do something with you on this.
Absolutely. It is highly pro bono, but I do know it's a skill that I've developed. If I want to monetize it, I can monetize it. Right? Right now, I don't want to monetize it. It's okay. But building a portfolio of skills ensures that when some disruption happens somewhere, you have something to fall back upon, work at it, keep staying afloat while something else comes back, right? I think that is the message that I would want to leave our young listeners with, is that look, you are entering a time where there is the world of jobs as we knew it since the Industrial Revolution or even the last 50 years has changed dramatically. Take control of your career in your own hands like a product manager or a CEO. Like you would try several experiments to see what works, what doesn't fail. Try the same thing in your career. Don't put all of your money into an experiment, all of your time and energy into an experiment which might blow up. Put little bits of it. As you see it grow, invest further and further. It will lead to directions that you can't even imagine. Trust me on that. Sitting here, you can, if you ask, what will happen if I do this? I don't see it leading anywhere. I can't answer it. No one can. But if you start taking those steps, you will find that things open up that you can't even imagine. This is the advice I would leave them with.
Honestly speaking, I have done a lot of talks. I have done a lot of, podcasts. I was part of other side of it. It was one of the best, because we came with a similar kind of a setup, large org, consulting guy in visiting, talking to same. So good to have you be here. And I would really like to have you as often as possible, right? Because I think all the people who have listened to you have got a lot of ideas, a lot of things for their career. Thank you very much, Arun.
Thank you so much, Vikas. It was a pleasure being here, and I look forward to meeting with you more frequently as well.
Thank you, Arun.
Thank you.